Welcome to video 4, that's step 4, that's statements, transactions and reports. Okay, we're on the home page, and of course all these statements are related to payers. So you can have the payers statement, or you can have each individual disbursement statement. A really simple way to do this is to actually go into the individual payers. So I've actually opened it in a new window. So you can go to payers, and we'll search that again by payers, and you can see that at the first a lot comes up. If we search the list and I want this particular payer, I'll open this in a new tab, and then of course you will see that the grey navigation bar for that individual property pops up. So we're in payer, this individual property. So don't forget, if we go back to get there and we go back to the home page, you can go to active if you wish to go that way, or you can click payers, search 200 Queen Street, Australia, and there we are. Now you can go to transactions, is where you get the payers statement from. These other items here, as we mentioned in video 1, are really important because they're the totals, but they're also the link, the shortcut link to the individual statements based on this disbursement. Example, if I click that, it will take me to those individual disbursements, and if you notice, we've just added that in the last video as option fee, and of course it hasn't had any deposits sent out or any disbursement into that account. So there's nothing at the moment. So let's go to transactions. So we're going to transactions, opening a new tab, and you can notice there straight away that we have the ability to, and you can see the list, and you can also see the date range. So if I want to change the date range, I can change that date range to whatever I want. So if it was from the 1st of February, research those, and of course there's only a few in this demo version, but as you get more and more you'll have the whole list. And of course you have the completed transactions below, which is the disbursement ledger being the completed amount, and up the top it allows you to then to print that payer's payer's statement. In other words, what was collected. So you can do a PDF, you can export it to Excel, you can print it, or you can even email it. So I'm going to email it to myself, and I'll have the email itself. But the best way, you can do that, it's not an issue to do that, but the best way is to create a statement. So there you go, a statement, and of course if it's a larger list and all the funds that were collected, if they were collected, it'll only show the ones that were collected, then it gives you a statement. So that statement can date range, who it was from, and the address of the property, and therefore it was settled. So 2 was settled and 1 wasn't submitted because it's a demo version. So there's the list, or there's the statement produced from that transaction or list of transactions related to that payer. So let's go back and do that again. Payers, search 200 Queen Street, brings up the actual payer and all the related headings that you can change or go into. And of course the first one is the setup. Edit details is if you want to edit the details on the left hand side, edit the payments or edit the disbursements, and go to transactions. Transactions are a list of transactions from that individual payer. So again, we can create the statement related to the date range, and it will print it off. Everything you need. You can then go to communications related to that individual person. In other words, if I actually had any notes here and I wanted to actually physically talk about something with them, I rang them up, we called, we emailed, whatever you've actually done, and that was me, the business, because related to this. It could be an amendment, it could be a payment inquiry, that the payment failed, and we rang them up to ask them what it was all about, they will get the notification. They'll end up bringing you because they don't want the $25. And remember, the $25 is added automatically. And if there was a default, let's go back to the payer, because we're in this individual payer, so everything on this grey line is related to that payer. We haven't left that payer yet. So again, we went from transactions back to view. Always go back to your start if you get lost. So I'm in payers, I'm in this individual person, and then I want to go back to his profile, so his setup. If you have any default fees, they will come up here underneath this list, and there it will give you the opportunity to cancel it if you wish to. That's totally up to you. But of course you want that payer. If it was something at setup stage, well then you could then credit it back to the payer. So that's where it will come up, and of course because this is a demo and it's not live, it won't actually come up because there's no default. But the default is if that payment on the 24th of February for $675 wasn't in his account because it wasn't cleared funds, or he was late putting it in and he didn't notify you, because if he notifies you in time, you can then adjust it by going into the payer, going into edit payments, going to modify debit period, right? I want to change a payment, for instance. I might want to add an extra transaction, or want to modify the debit period. So I'm talking about the debit period being, I want to, for instance, he's not going to make the 24th of February. I could actually, example, delete that. And then I want to add an extra transaction payment to that. And I want to say that was the 24th and he's not going to be there for the 26th. Then I can say the 26th, sorry, beg your pardon. That's $675. And that's going to be the 26th of February. And it might allow me to do that because I'm actually, that's a date before it is now. Let's see if it does. It's a demo version. And it won't allow me to do it because the date's actually passed. So let's go in there and make that the 3rd. So I've added an extra payment there because he's actually for some reason he's got his funds weren't available, therefore he will not get a default because he's let you know, and it's easy to do that. So if he lets you know, your actually accounts person or your partner or whoever it might be can log in, or you can log in yourself and change it wherever you are. It's a very simple process to do that. So there's your payers, transactions with this particular person. We're in this view setup. Go to transactions, and then you can print out their statement from funds collected from them. So let's go back to view setup. Now, if you go into example, this particular one here, and we open it in a new tab, you'll notice it goes to the same thing. It's related to that disbursement. So this is only related to that disbursement. So we need to go back to our previous tab. You can see there that that's that disbursement. If I went into that, pressed it there, it would take it into the setup of that disbursement. If I go to the total, it will take me into the statement, and it's related to, you can see there, disbursements related to that particular property, and I'm in transactions. So it's again the same as payer transactions. Now it's disbursement transactions. So you can always go through disbursements if you wish, but that's the quickest way to get there. So you can see that any date range related to that payer for that person, 2 amounts have been settled. Again, I can create that statement and it will pop up for me automatically. So you can see there we've got a total because I've collected 2 So it's a running statement based on disbursements. The payer doesn't have a running statement, it's just a record of weekly, fortnightly, monthly payments collected. But we want to have a total for these disbursements themselves. So if I go back one step and remember that we're in an individual payer. So let's go back to the start. I've gone to payers, I'm searching, I want this particular payer, I'm in view setup. If I want disbursements, I go to these ones. That's how easy it is to do it. So if I want cash flow, for instance, I can open that in a new tab and then create my statement based on that disbursement. And of course, when you get more information in there, it then becomes 1, 2, 3 pages, depending on the date range you'd want to. So you can search financial year, you can do statements every 6 months, whatever date range you want. It's all there. And finally, reports. So go back to the top, we're at homepage, reports, go into reports. There's a number of reports in demo, any date range again, active, suspended or cancelled accounts to do with everybody. It's manually, unending or all. So of course we'd go into all. You can then go into a number of things, birthdays if you put them in there, cancellation, referral reports, payers reports, rejected follow-up reports, disbursement reports. So let's just go into, and these are company reports. Remember, they're not individual properties. They're, when you go to reports in this area, it is to do with every example. It goes into payers reports, goes into all these different areas for the business itself. So it's not just individual reports. This will give you a report for the whole company. So don't forget, black is for the business, the light grey bar is for the individual property or payer, depending on how you set it up. And then you can just tick these and you will actually get a report based on all active payers when it generates it. And of course, we're in a demo version, so it'll take a little bit longer than the live site itself, and then it will load a number of items. But it gives you all of those related to the business itself, so it's not individual. So it's much more targeted by using, example, your payers. So go into the individual property again, go back to sorry, we'll just open that over the top, and therefore you can go into transactions to get your payers statement, or you can go into from your view setup to your totals. There's a shortcut directly to your disbursement statement. That's about it. It's very simple. Once you get used to it, revert back to or follow the video and you'll view it a number of times and it will become second nature to you and so quick to access those. And we'll see you in the next video.